Welcome to another Kings of War Battle Report, the epic quest. Game 1, Forces of the Abyss versus Brotherhood, at 2,200 points, and the scenario was RAZE. The epic quest is a plan to use every one of the armies I own and can field. Right now, some of these armies are still work in progress, meaning, they're not necessarily not done. It's just that you always have that one unit you meant to paint. You've never painted it. So some of them you won't see for a while because I am painting some units that need to go in those lists. So, but I have enough that I could probably go to a Christmas without having to paint a single model. So I'm pretty good in that way. I make most of the army list in advance, so not to shade a list toward any particular foe. And what that means is just because I know Sean's playing a unit with all cavalry, I'm not going to bring out my pike units of Kingdoms of Men just to mess with them. So currently I have 17 armies, more since I have, some of the armies I own several of. I think I own 5 Ratkin armies, but obviously I'm only going to play one. And I do have an 18th, but the Abyssal Dwarfs are a work in progress. And I'm figuring with the number of weeks it's going to take to do this and the holidays coming up, it may be early next spring before I'm done. And I may even have the Abyssal Dwarfs done. So that's pretty cool. And all the armies are fully painted, will be fully painted. And the basing is still a work in progress on some because some of them I just haven't decided on their final basing scheme. So I've just kind of left them blank. Why do I do this? Well, it's nice to use them all and gets them all out of the box every once in a while. And the big thing it does is motivates me to paint because sometimes I just get discouraged painting. I don't have an end in sight. And so the idea of this, and Sean said it the other day, is if you figure out how to add a new unit to a few of the armies, it'll be way more fun for you. And he's exactly right. Right now I'm painting some 4 Shamblers for all the nature-y armies, elves, forces of nature, Sylvankin. So I think that's pretty good. And then the other thing is it'll add a variety to the battle reports. I've been kind of stale over the last few months because I'm getting ready for a tournament, and so I've been playing almost all orcs or somebody's opposition forces in our group. So ability to change out those army lists for just in order to give you guys some variety. If this works right, you'll have 18 weeks of a different army every week against a different foe every week, which will be really cool, I think. All right, this is the first and only appearance of my Forces of the Abyss army. I knew Carl was playing a new army list, so I went and used one of my old army lists before I decided to get mean with Abyssals. And this unit starts off with a horde of lower Abyssals with 2-handed weapons and Han's sanguinary scripture, plus the imps. 2 regiments of Abyssal Guard with 2-handed weapons, and one of them has a blade of slashing and imps. 2 hordes of Molochs, one with the potion of the caterpillar, the other one with the brew of haste, and both with imps. A horde of Abyssal ghouls, a gargoyle troop, a regiment of tortured souls with the aegis of the Elohi, an Abyssal Fiend, which is one of my favorite models in the Forces of the Abyss, 3 Abyssal Warlocks, which are my favorite models in the Forces of the Abyss, one with Bane Chant and the Conjurer's Staff, and the rest were just without anything extra. And lastly, the manifestation of Pork, a.k.a. Baal. You'll see when you see the model that I use, and Baal is got to be one of the top special characters in the game. It's just so versatile. He doesn't kill anybody just outright, but he's just got so many ways that he can influence the game, and I really like him. I don't think I've played Abyssals a single game without him. Okay, I messed up Carl's Order of the Brothermark list because I thought he was playing one of my old lists, and this was a different one. So he has a horde of Paladin Knights, not a regiment of Paladin Knights like my sheet said. So he starts out with a horde of swordsmen with veteran command and the Staying Stone, a horde of spearmen with veteran command and the Hammer of Measured Force, a horde of Paladin Knights with the Brew of Strength and the Aegis, fragment, shard, whatever it is, 2 regiments of Paladin Foot Guard, one of them has the Aura of Elite, regiment of the Order of Abyssal Hunt with the Boots of Striding, 3 heavy Arbalist, an exemplar Paladin with the Mace of Crushing, lead from the front, the Bearer of the Holy Icon with the Lute, a War Wizard with the Boomstick and Lightning Bolt, obviously, a War Wizard that has swapped out for Lightning Bolt, mounted with the Inspiring Talisman and Bane Chant. All right, one of these things that happened in this game is Carl kept loading what would be my right flank and his left. And so I had no choice but to keep doing the same thing back and forth. He had put his Battle Wizard over there, the Exemplar Paladin, the Crossbowman, 2 Ballistas, everything. And so I just kept throwing stuff down on top of it too. So I put in here, if you could see from right to left, is my unit of Tortured Souls with the Aegis of the Elohi. One of my Warlocks, he doesn't have anything. The Abyssal Fiend is there, and Bale is there, all to battle the one corner of the table. And a lot of fun. I mean, this is going to be a cool part of the battle. In the middle, I just set up my infantry line, checkerboarded. I had a horde of lower abyssals, and then a unit of upper abyssals, or Abyssal Guard, I should say, and then a horde of ghouls, and then yet another regiment of Abyssal Guard. Finally, on the extreme left flank, I put both units of Molochs there. One with the Potion of the Caterpillar was right behind the woods. The other one was near the wall. It was over there. And finally, one of the Warlocks was over there for Inspire, and the Gargoyle Troop. And I really always hide Gargoyles. I need them for late game. I don't really need them for early game. So usually I just keep them for reserve, especially in these token type battles. They're really good for it. So I don't know why I spent so much time on Carl's left flank here, but I think what I was trying to do was get behind his army, because over on the right flank you can see there's this large tower that was going to protect his flank over there. And so that was kind of a no-go, even though I probably could have put Bale over there. There really wasn't any vital targets over there, where here if I could get into the flank, I might be able to hit those knights in the flank. So anyway, so what Carl did is he set up with 1 ballista, or heavy arbalist I should say. And I know it's just a trooper crossbow in that picture, but I add the rest of them. I thought he had a troop and he had a regiment. So you'll see that they miraculously grow during the game up to a regiment. And then there is the Battle Wizard, I believe, and the Exemplar Hunter. Also, another arbalist is behind the little chunk of difficult terrain there. Then a horde of spearmen. Behind them, that model's going to change too. It's going to change into an actually guy with a flag, but he is the ASB with loot. Then a regiment of the Foot Paladins, and then the Order of the Abyssal Hunt is in the woods because they have boots of striding. Finally, in the very middle, we have the horde of Paladin Knights, and then a horde of swordsmen, and then finally on the very end is the other unit of Foot Paladins. Behind them, mounted on a horse, is the wizard with Inspiring Talisman to keep that group of people inspired and Bane Chant supported. There's a pretty good amount of Bane Chant in this army to help it out. So even though they look kind of lackluster on paper, you know, they have a pretty good potential to do damage. And of course, the knights can always do damage. Decent shooting phase, 3 arbalists and 2 mages. So I mean, it's not a horrible shooting phase. So anyway, I think it's a good army and a good plan. So we'll have to see. So I get the first turn and just move up slightly. I need to stay 16 inches away from those knights, obviously. So that's a big thing. However, both of my tokens that I need, or 2 on this flank, are one's in the woods there and one is in that patch of difficult terrain. So I need to figure out how to get to them at some point. But at the same time, I am defending the Carl's token down here in the woods, and my Abyssal Warlock is standing on top of it. So I ended up moving up the Molochs on the left, up just angling toward that wall, because I really don't care if they charge me over the wall, because I'll beat them. And then the Gargoyles just hid behind them because no reason to get them shot up. And then the unit with of Molochs with the Potion of the Caterpillar moved up, just staying out of range not to be charged. Along there, the Abyssal Guard and the horde of ghouls move up a little bit, and you see they're kind of checkerboarded back because I don't want the Abyssal Guard to get charged distinctly from something else. All right, here in this picture, you can see to the left, you could just see the smidge of the Abyssal Guard. They're going to hide behind that piece of difficult terrain. The unit of lower abyssals just moves up. I did a pretty good job of deployment, so not to have to walk across that wall, and that was well planned, I think. And then Bale runs up behind the house, and I think after this I actually took him back an inch or so, and started shooting at his exemplar paladin that was leading all that infantry. The Abyssal Fiend moves up beside the house. The Tortured Souls move up, and the Abyssal Warlock moves up and kind of holds on to the objective. But I couldn't move up and shoot, so I think I actually moved as far as I could move. But the point is that if I can weather the shooting, I'll be able to charge into his missile park next turn with the Abyssal Fiend and the Tortured Souls. One of the things that make the Abyssal Fiend just a superb model is it inspires. And this area here is loaded with inspires, since everything in it inspires except the Tortured Souls, which was the unit that got shot. Carl's shooting was a little subpar. He did 5 wounds to him, and I think you need a 9 or 10 twice to get him. And they shrugged it off, and they're going to be in position next turn to cause some pain in this Carl's left flank. Yeah, the rest of Carl's move is just everything moved up to stay online. The missile fire in the middle all fired into the horde of ghouls, which was going to be a problematic unit for his knights. Not because they'll hurt them, but just because they'll slow them down and let my harder hitting units catch up to him. So he poured all of his fire into them. So in my turn, the Tortured Souls go slamming into the crossbow. It looks like a troop, but it will actually grow to a regiment in just a second. It will be a miracle. It'll just pop into existence. The Abyssal Fiend goes into one of the heavy arbalists. I couldn't get a charge. I don't think I could fit because of the base of the to hit his exemplar hunter, which I would have liked to have hit first, but I just couldn't get through there till I got rid of the heavy arbalist. And then Bale and the Abyssal Warlock move up, and I think I fired some shots at the at his icon. I bear the holy icon and did no damage. And then the Warlock, he goes up and whiffs, shooting at the bolt thrower too. So I mean the heavy arbalist too. So pretty non-good shooting phase. So over here on the left, I did get my Molochs up to the wall, which I was wanting to use, and they kind of formed an angle battle line there. Gargoyles are ready to jump over his lines in case that he, in case he moves up too far forward. So the rest of the guys are just kind of forming a checkerboard. I did back up the Abyssal guard on the right-hand side to max, and then move the Warlock through so he could shoot. You can see the damage. I'd taken one or two to the Molochs on the left, and then 3 into the ghouls in the very middle there. So just a little bit, not really much happening here because Carl didn't move forward very fast, and so it was just really letting me set up my lines in the way I wanted, and I'm just outside of charge range for everything. Basically, this game, if I let him charge, it's because I want him to. So that's the whole point of trying to set up this way. So on this end of the table, the Tortured Souls bounce into and do 5 wounds, and I thought, well, that'll blow that troop away. But then we looked at his shoot and realized that he had a regiment, and that's going to say they'll grow to a regiment here in just a moment. The Abyssal Fiend easily destroyed the first heavy arbalist and starts to turn to face the flank of the spearman, but he also has his battle wizard there with Boomstick and his exemplar hunter, which will be tragic because I forgot exemplar hunters are really good at battling monsters. I mean, superb at battling monsters. So we're going to have to deal with him in a minute. You can see the damage to his, and like I say, that wizard will turn into an icon bear in just a moment. But he took 2 or 3 wounds from Bale's lightning bolt, but just wasn't enough to take him out. In the shooting phase, Carl had managed a few wounds to Bale and to the Abyssal Warlock, but neither one failed their test. Here you can see that the crossbowmen have now magically appeared to become a regiment, and probably a little bit bigger than the base should have been, but I had another troop tray, so I just stuck them on there. And then they managed to do 2 wounds to the Tortured Souls, and then over in the middle, the even though he hindered, the Exemplar Hunter did 5 wounds to the Abyssal Fiend, and that ain't going to be good. That was a good hit. And you can see behind the Spearman that the Wizard has now miraculously turned into an ASB figure. So in the middle here, that everything just kind of stayed at a standoff. The thing is Carl probably could have moved up. Since I only charged 10, I mean, it's really bizarre in an Abyssal army. It's because there are so many different movement rates that you have to account for. Because in the, for example, one of my units of Molochs had the Brew of Haze, so he could charge 14 inches. And then the regular Molochs charged 12 inches, and then the Abyssal Guard, I think, charges 12, and the Ghouls charge 10. So it's really a mismatch of weird ranges. But the point being is you could have moved into range to charge and not been within range of being charged by anything, especially since my fast stuff like Bale, and then we're over on this end of the table duking it out with the missile bank over here. So over on the left flank here, you can see that the Ghouls are now up to 5 wounds from Carl's shooting. The Molochs here are up to 2. I failed to regenerate those things the entire game, I think. But kind of a standoff here because I know I can't move forward without those knights doing something wicked to me. And I mean, I'm positive that those Molochs could take care of all that infantry on the left. But I'm just afraid of getting flanked by the there's basically a horde of knights and a regiment of knights there. All right, in my turn, Bale is on the loose. He has jumped over the army. Carl had no choice but to turn his spearman toward him during his turn. I just have so many juicy targets to charge, and I'm probably going to charge the worst one of them here in a minute. My Tortured Souls, between his attack back at me the other time and passing my break test, so I got 1 from the Aegis of the Elohi. Then I got 2 back from Life Leech, so I was pretty happy with that. The Warlock managed 3 wounds on the Heavy Arbalest, but did no harm to it. I mean, he just passed. Eventually, I think I have to go kill it by hand because of his. I forgot that they're 10-12 with Iron Resolve for their artillery, I believe. I think that's the truth, and so they're a little bit harder to kill than normal artillery. So Carl had managed to charge back into the Abyssal Fiend, and this time got it up to 11 wounds. So he was in serious trouble. And you can see that the Bolt Thrower, our Heavy Arbalest, had done 3 wounds to the Abyssal Warlock. And like I said, at some point I'm going to have to charge in there and kill the stupid thing. So finally, I decided to do something in the middle and try to push the thing because his shooting had got my Ghouls up to 7 or 8 wounds, so that means they weren't going to last very much longer. So I went ahead and just pushed them forward as far as I could because I know that I don't think that the Paladins can turn enough and then get into the Abyssal Guard, but I mean they might be able to. Now that I look at it, they might be able to make that charge. But the point being is I wanted them to charge into the unit of Ghouls there at this turn, and so I'm just kind of setting up what I want to do in later turns. Like I said, you can see up there where Bale, even though he hasn't, he's made an effect on the game. And what I did with Bale is I charged him into the stupid mounted wizard who had Inspiring and just could not kill that stupid model. And now I'm going to open myself up to a charge from his Exemplar Paladin who's on foot right next to the other ASB. So I'm going to get Bale stuck for a time, I think, in this little fight. So that wasn't a smart move. I should have just kept moving him around. But you can see, though, that just the threat of him, not the fact that he did anything, just the threat of him has affected the entire way that that Carl's army is deployed. Just a tighter picture here of what's going on in this trade. I will do a diagram in a second and paint and show you some possibilities of what could have been done. All right, this is a really difficult thing to describe, so I will try to help if you're a new player. One of the things is this infantry here, even though I'm pretty sure I will destroy any of them, the thing is they needed to be past that piece of difficult terrain so that they could project 10 inches of space out right there. I mean, the big thing is if he could have got me to come forward, and then his night charge that's coming up in the middle, it would be so much more effective because then he could roll me up by just diverting both ways. So what's going to happen, though, is both units of knights of the horde and the regiment of knights are going to go into the ghouls and destroy them. And these other guys are going to come up in support, but it's kind of too little too late because you can see what's going to happen here. On the left is the Molochs. They're going to end up charging the blue unit, which is the Paladin Foot. And then the Abyssal Warlock, which is right in the middle behind the hedge, he's going to end up blocking this unit of swordsmen. And then after they kill the ghouls, then the Molochs with the Potion of the Caterpillar and the Abyssal Guard are going to go into the horde. Now, I've been chipping at this thing with the Warlocks the whole game, so it's down to like 2 or 3 wounds, which isn't a lot, but I think it's going to tip the battle here. But I just want to show you in the diagram. I mean, the secret here would have been to try to get that infantry forward and then up here to project and just hold up my left flank so that the night charge could have actually done something. And I mean, heck, they may have come up here and I charged forward, then the horde would have got me in the flank. So you just have to think about these things, is because here, I mean, it's also an idea that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So I am in a position here, not counting the gargoyles, which could fly forward and chaff something too. So I have 1 more piece than he does, which means I'm going to have 1 more potential move that he has to counter. So over here, the Abyssal Fiend finished off the Exemplar Hunter, and then Carl charged into the Abyssal Fiend with his horde of spearmen. And I think we misplayed this one because he Bane chanted him, but he had Hammer Measure 4, so it didn't change anything. It was still for this time it was for 5s and 4s. But he did kill the Abyssal Fiend, except he rolled Snake Eyes. And so I still had another turn of fun with him. So here Carl slams the horde of Paladin Knights and the Order of the Abyssal Hunt into the ghouls and obviously just slaughters them like a dog. Everything else moved forward to support. And you can see what I meant earlier about that these foot troops needed to be up closer, maybe even a turn before, to try to get away from that piece of terrain. And that's going to make it really hard, really easy for me to take revenge on those Paladin Knights. Okay, you can see that the Paladin Foot guys moved up, but the problem was they were in the edge of that woods, and so they were going to be too slow to help the unit of knights out from my potential charges from the Abyssal Guard and the lower Abyssals into their flank. So again, another one of those lessons learned as far as the spacing, to get your guys up there, because really all the infantry was out of position at this time, and so it was going to have a detrimental effect on the game. Over on the right-hand side of the picture, the Order of the Abyssal Hunt had really no choice but to kind of angle to keep from getting flank charged by my lower Abyssals, and so that was going to be a way for them to hold out for a turn. The horde of Paladin Knights is in real trouble because they're going to catch it from not only the Abyssal Guard in the front, but also the unit of Molochs with the Brew of Haste that's in the woods. And they had the potion. No, I'm sorry, they did not have the Brew of Haste. Brew of Haste is on the left side. This one has a Potion of the Caterpillar, so they will not be hindered going into those Paladin Knights. As happens sometimes, I get excited during a game and forget to take a picture at the key moment, and this is one of those key moments. Over here on the right-hand side, the lower Abyssals charge in and destroy the regiment of Foot Paladins, which was very fortunate because they have very high leadership. And then the Abyssal Guard charge into his Order of the Abyssal Hunt, do 5 damage, which was pretty good on those guys, because I think I failed the Bane Chant for some reason. But in the very middle, the Paladin Knight Horde was totally annihilated by the charge of the Abyssal Foot and the Abyssal Guard and the unit of Molochs. And so they were no longer here. So you can see the hole in the middle of the table where they once were. And because of that, see, now I can fan out and you can collapse in on these other units. So you can see how I properly supported my charges here. I went ahead and charged the Molochs into the, even though they were hindered, into the unit of foot paladins, and did a lot of damage, and I think wavered them, but I'm not positive. But then the Abyssal Warlock did a good job. He did a wound to those swordsmen, and Abyssal Warlocks are really tough to take out, mainly because they inspire. And that's going to be a hard thing for them. The Gargoyles went ahead and jumped the line, and now they're headed for that token. And then the Molochs, they could either next turn go grab the token or turn in here and butcher this unit of swordsmen. So I'm in really good positions. Like I said, now that I've busted the middle, I can fan both ways. So the Order of the Abyssal Hunt goes ahead and does 7 wounds to my unit of Abyssal Guard, but you can see their doom is about to happen as the unit of Lower Abyssals and the unit of Abyssal Guard are closing in on the flanks at the same time. The unit of Spearmen did go ahead and kill the Abyssal Fiend, but the Tortured Souls go slamming into the Battle Wizard that has the boomstick. You can also see here my Abyssal Warlock is coming around the corner. He did regenerate a couple of his wounds, so he's not looking in as bad a shape. I think I just backed him up trying to get out of the arc. Really kind of pointless at this end of the game. So here the Paladin Foot managed to do 7 wounds back to the Molochs, which was a pretty good deal. The Swordsman did 4 to the Abyssal Warlock, but he holds, and because he has Fury, even though he is wavered, that's what the yellow chip is for. He holds in place there, which is going to be the end of that unit with those Molochs in his flank. All right, sorry for the blurry picture, but you can see the doom of that unit of Abyssal Hunt as 2 units slam into its flank, and then the Abyssal Guard from the front, and then I had Bane Chant on them as well to add insult to injury. So those guys get slaughtered. The Baal had actually wavered his Exemplar Paladin this turn, and then his Wizard did not do any wounds to me. So he was able to fly over here and grab the middle objective just in case I wasn't able to do that. The Gargoyles go ahead and charge into his Battle Wizard on the horse, and just mostly to keep it in place, to keep it from throwing any spells. So, of course, that unit dies, and everything is consolidating on the objective. The Battle Wizard, I think, died this turn as well. So all that's really left up there is the Heavy Arbalest to do stuff to. So yeah, in this turn, the Paladin Knights, Foot Knights, are destroyed, and this is the last turn of the game. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion that if there was a turn 7, it would have been anything. So at the end of this battle, I had 2 of my objectives, and I had the middle one, so it would be a 3-0 victory. Game 1 of the epic quest is in the books. The reason why I chose Abyssals is because I really don't have to do anything to the army. Yeah, they still need basing, some of them, but they look just fine, I think. So there you go. There, I just wanted to get those out of the box and get them out first. I've got a whole bunch of armies in this. It's going to be in this series that are already painted and based and everything, where I really don't have to do anything except pull them from the box and get ready to go. This list was based on one when I first started painting this army, and these are the models I had painted or wanted to paint. And so I was pretty happy with it. I mean, it's not optimal. I mean, I have some really good Abyssal lists that are just high shooting, high speed, the whole 9 yards. But this was kind of fun because it does have the horde infantry element in it, and a little bit of fast stuff, a little bit. I mean, it really plays in all phases, which is what I like the most about playing Abyssals, is they can play in all phases and do. Very few armies can dabble in one phase or the other and still come out effective. I mean, Night Stalkers is another one of those armies that does a good job of that. But some of the others, I mean, they get so one-dimensional. But Abyssals aren't. I mean, so if you're a player who likes a very versatile army that can do literally anything and be played in literally any style, Abyssals are for you. I mean, they are great. They're a great, great army. I mean, I've played them for a while now, and they're good. I've never taken them to a tournament, never really was interested in it. But I mean, I've been chipping away at them to get them tournament ready, by basing them. I mean, really, that's all it's left to do is to get them on their bases and be ready to go. So, really like the Abyssal Army. The Brothermark list was my fault. It was I set it up for Carl, and then I said, I thought you had a horde of Palace Guard. I mean, of Paladin Knights, but you didn't. But it didn't matter. I mean, just because of the terrain and stuff and how I was able to get position, it was really irrelevant whether they were a regiment or a horde anyway. So we're trying to revise the Brothermark list to make it a little better, but he'll have to play against somebody else because since I'm playing this epic quest, these guys are going to go back in the box after this battle. And probably a good idea if I started making a nice padded box for them, since I probably will use them in the future because I really do like this army. Right now, I think all the models in it are GW and some Reapers. So if you're interested in what those are all Plague Bears for my Abyssal Guard. The ghouls are actually old GW undead ghouls, metal. And then no, they're not. I do have a whole Lower Abyssal Horde that is actually all Mantic, which is I think is one of the best painted units in the army. And Sean Dietrich helped me come up with a paint scheme for them that I liked that kind of matches the green of the Nurgly guys that are in there. The Molochs are just old Chaos Ogres from GW. I had a ton of them. I mean, I've got even more than you see here. And so I just went ahead and painted them up and made those into my Molochs because I had no real use for them. I mean, they could be, you can use so much stuff in Kings of War as one thing or the other, but everyone pretty much knows that when I put those on the table, and because of their base size, knows that those are Molochs. So we've also used them for snow trolls before when we were simulating some Northern Alliance armies because they are on the proper base for that. So really happy how this went for the first game, and still made some of my own mistakes. And the biggest mistake is I don't take enough pictures. When I get excited during a game, I have a hard time because I fixate so much on trying to get the game in, and then forget that I need to take a picture after that. So I missed the big charge of the Paladin Knights into the ghouls. But like I say, you can see I had a lot of pictures of the aftermath of it. So I guess that was okay. But just a couple of pet peeves I have in battle reports, and usually I can say I make most of those mistakes. And one of them is just not taking enough pictures at enough angles. And I guess my good suggestion would be if your friend has a camera, which I assume he would, then he could take pictures from his side during your turn, which would be really helpful because of having because that way you don't have to be totally responsible for taking pictures. And I think that would be good especially if you're doing battle reports like this. If you're doing video battle reports, just hand the camera to them and let them take pictures of you while you are moving. And so both are good ways to do it.